Okay, so continuing on, the next thing we need to talk about are chemical formulas, and we've already talked about these a little bit. Last chapter we said that a chemical formula uses symbols from the periodic table and numbers, which we called subscripts, to tell you what atoms are involved in the reaction and how many of them. So if you look at these examples, O2 tells me O is oxygen from the periodic table, and the 2 tells me that there's 2 oxygen, and they're held together with a chemical bond. This one, C6H12O6, this is also known as glucose. This is 6 atoms of carbon bonded to 12 atoms of hydrogen bonded to 6 atoms of oxygen. So we're not going to spend too much more time going over this because we already talked about that last chapter. So I think we're good here. The big thing is just remember that this little number down here is called a subscript. All right, so how do you write these chemical formulas? We did that lab in class where I gave you some puzzle pieces, but I gave you the chemical formulas. I gave you the names. So today we're going to learn how to actually write those formulas. And the way you write them based upon whether the compound that you're looking at is ionic or covalent. So let's start with covalent. We know that covalent compounds occur between nonmetals. So if you look at, for example, H2O, you look at the atoms involved. Hydrogen and oxygen are both nonmetals, and since they're both nonmetals, it's a covalent compound, and so you're going to go ahead and use this naming system. So let's get into that. When you're naming covalent things, you have to use prefixes. Just like language arts class, you know about prefixes. And these are the prefixes that we're going to be using. So, for example, you guys all know that tri means 3 or octa means 8. So you're going to want to write down these prefixes. These are super important. You don't want to lose these prefixes.